Hey guys, I'm Landon Wargle, the Illinois Angler, and today I'm going to be doing a rod and reel arsenal video. As you can see here, I've got them in my room on this handy rod rack that I made. It was pretty easy. I found plans for that online, and then, I just sort of tweaked it to how I wanted it. But anyways, first rod that I've got here is a 7-foot Falcon Buku, medium heavy action with a moderate fast tip, and I've got that paired with a Shimano Corrado I in a 7.2 to 1 gear ratio. This is my light Texas rigs and light jigs rod. It doesn't quite have as much power in the tip as I would like, so I don't use it for like heavy cover and stuff, but it works well for Texas rigs for the most part. And I do really like the reel. I use the 7.2 to 1 gear ratio because it allows me to get it out there and get it back in and save time on flips, because I do like to tournament fish, so time is valuable. The next setup I've got is another Falcon Buku, and this one is heavy with a fast tip. And I've got this with another 7.2 to 1 gear ratio Shimano Corrado. And I will use this rod for heavy cover and heavy jigs, so I can rip fish out of the cover. I'll probably also use it for under docks, just so I can pull the fish out and not have to worry about them getting themselves tangled up around the dock posts. Next rod I've got, this one actually doesn't have a reel on it right now because I sold the reel and I'm going to get a new one. I had a Shimano Sitka E in 6.3 to 1, I think, on it before, but I'm getting ready to buy another Lew's Tournament MB, and I'll get that in 6.8 to 1 gear ratio. This is my cranking rod. It's a Lew's Tournament speed stick, and it's in medium power with a fast tip. This rod it's got a little more power than I'd like for a cranking rod, but I bought it a while ago before I really knew that much about what kind of action I wanted in a cranking rod, so this is what I've got, and it works pretty good. I use monofilament for my cranking just because it's got a little stretch, and it sort of accounts for the lack of bend in the rod. But back to the reel, I'm getting a Lew's Tournament MB, and I'm going to get that in 6.8 to 1, which may seem fast for a cranking reel, and yeah, it is, but I don't really like to go slower because my philosophy is you can move your hand slower if you want to want to retrieve your bait slower, but if you want to burn it in, you can only move your hand so fast. So if you got a 5.4 to 1 gear ratio, then you may just be out of luck. But that's my cranking rod. Then this is my spinnerbait setup. I run a chatterbait on this as well. This is a medium heavy Shields Pro Angler rod, which is a fairly cheap rod, but it works well for me. I don't really value sensitivity in a crankbait, or well, not in a crankbait, in a spinnerbait rod or chatterbait rod, just because you don't really have to feel the bites that much. If a fish bites it, you pretty much get hooked up or you lose it, one way or the other. I've got this paired up with a 7.2 to 1, I believe. Pretty sure that's what it is. Nope, 7.3 to 1. Pinnacle Optimus. And this reel is pretty nice. It was actually given to me, but it works pretty good for spinner baits. It's a little fast again, but like I said, you can slow down your hand if you need to. One thing that I find interesting about this reel is I feel like the knobs have better free spool than the actual spool, but it's pretty smooth. On to the next one. Next rod I've got here is a Daiwa Aird rod, A-I-R-D, and this is 7.3 heavy, which I guess I forgot to say that all of those rods that I just showed you were in 7 foot, and that's the length that I like to use the most, but I got this one just for a little more power. So this is Daiwa Aird rod in 7'3". It's heavy with a fast or an extra fast tip. I'm not sure. It actually doesn't say on it. But this rod I picked up at a fishing show for $45, and this rod looks like a $150 rod. I don't know if you can see this, but it's got like, I don't know, it just looks sweet. My only complaint about this rod is that it is a little tip heavy, but for $55 or $45, 55 is the retail. I would say it is a great rod. This rod is probably going to be my frogging rod. I could also run some heavier jigs on it, or some heavier Texas rigs. I've got this paired up with a 7.5-to-1 Lew's Tournament MB, and that's good for frogging or pitching or flipping because you can pick up line real quick if the fish runs at you, or to get them out of cover, I really like this reel. This reel is $140, and it's probably the smoothest reel I've ever used. I really like those Curados too, but this might, I don't know. It's hard to say, but this might be a little better. This is a Lew's Tournament MB, by the way. My next combo here is a pretty sweet spinning setup, and this reel you probably haven't heard of it. It's pretty sweet though. It's called a wave spin, and I believe this model's the Legend. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, it's a wave spin, and why it's called a wave spin is because if you can see on the spool, it's jagged like a saw blade, and when you cast it, the line hops from the tips of the points, and it helps you not get loops in your spool, and it also reduces friction around the spool so you can cast farther. But I've got this paired up with a Grant Rods All-American Pro Series, and I got this from a friend of mine. I mean, I paid him for it, but he's sponsored by Grant. And this rod is very sensitive. This is a medium power 6.6, and what I'm going to use this rod for is shaky heads and wacky rigging, maybe some Ned rigs, and also skipping under docks with any of those. So this is going to be a great tool this year. This rod that I've got sitting over here, this is just a crappy spinning rod that I have, and I had an open spot, so I put it on there. Then this rod is also one of my less nice combos, but it'll throw a bait, so I use it. This is the reel that I started out on bass fishing. It's a Abu Garcia Silver Max in 6-to-1 or something like that. I don't know. It's a 6 gear. And this reel has been very reliable. It's not the smoothest thing or the nicest thing that I've ever used, but it it got me started bass fishing. And I've got this on a 7-foot fast action medium heavy power insight rod, which is, I don't know, it's something I picked up at Dick's Sporting Goods a couple years ago. But this rod, until I get something else, I'll probably throw spinnerbait or a chatterbait on this. Maybe some soft plastic swim baits. We'll see. You know, like I said, it'll throw bait. Then this is my final setup, and this is an old Quantum, or actually it's an old Bass Pro Qualifier reel, and it's on a Quantum Response rod in medium heavy. And the reason I'm not using this rod for something else is because it's got a busted tip. It's, well, the insert and the tip of the rod came out, so I have to get that fixed. But I probably won't have this for my spin bait rod or swim bait rod when I do start throwing swim baits, but this reel, I will probably use this for swim baits. And I may actually have to throw it on my crankbait rod for my first tournament, because I don't know that I'm going to have my new reel yet. But that's that. And then over here we got the trusty ice rod. Got this rigged up with some braid for fishing through the ice finesse. You can feel everything down there with the braid, so if a fish ticks your line, you know, you got one. Well, this has been my rods and reels arsenal video. I'll show you around my room a little bit here at the end, just so you can see. This is sort of my tackle corner. I got my camera stuff and my tackle box and some reel boxes and my line that I'm going to use this year. And then over here I keep this is some new stuff that I haven't got out yet, and my reel working tools for when I clean up insides of the reels. Then down here I've got some extra baits, and up here I keep my camera stuff in here when I'm not using it, and got some notebooks for writing down video ideas and whatnot. But anyways, that's about it. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and push that thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks.